moving on to our first panel, which is urban planning to withstand heat waves. We had Mr. Juan from Cognita Schools, who spoke on keeping schools cool in a warming world. Now, our next speaker will broaden the discussion from individual institutions to the resilience of entire cities. It is my pleasure now to introduce Mr. Esteban Leon, Head of City Resilience Global Program at UN Habitat. Esteban has spent more than 2 decades supporting governments around the world in strengthening urban resilience through integrated planning, risk informed governance, sustainable development, and post crisis recovery. His work continued to shape how cities prepare for and adapt to increasingly complex climate and disaster risks. Topic of his presentation is From Humanitarian Action to Urban Resilience and the Need of Artificial Intelligence. Please welcome Esteban Leon.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Esteban.
Perfect. First of all, thanks for the invitation. It's a pleasure to be here. When my friend Ricardo contacted me, I was very excited and I knew it was going to be great. So thanks for that. I'm not going to have a PowerPoint presentation. I hate PowerPoint presentations because it gets you stuck into a presentation and you cannot really divide or deviate from it. And having here the previous presentation, I think that it's quite enriching to also be able to open to what has been said as well. I'm going to let you know a bit more of how we started this work. I'm heading the City Resilience Global Program of UN Habitat, and we started actually at the beginning of 2000, 2001, 2002, when we started working on what was disaster risk reduction and initiating a bit what is climate adaptation. But at some point in 2004, when we have the Indian Ocean tsunami and we have the Pakistan earthquake and we have so many other crisis situations, UN Habitat, which is mainly a developmental agency, decided to incursion into the humanitarian work. And the reason for that was that we thought, okay, we should start working for building foundations for sustainable development from the crisis situation. We saw a crisis as an opportunity in a way. I don't like to say that crises are opportunities, but these can be opportunities for change, right? So we thought, okay, if we manage to respond to a crisis situation during the crisis situation, we can, in a way, influence the response and make sure that that response is sustainable in future. It's not only saving lives, but also preserving lives. And based on that, we started working in many operations, crisis situations, together with the Red Cross, Federation of the Red Cross, with the UNHCR, with our humanitarian partners. And of course, it was a very hectic moment in which we were deploying together with the humanitarian actors, working, advocating for disaster risk reduction, but also making sure that we have components in all our operations that will take us longer than the 3 months or 6 months humanitarian response. And it was enriching. It was very enriching. It was very important. It was I would say very exciting from the personal, professional, and also from the agency point of view. However, at some point we decided, okay, we can't still run after disaster, right? We always arrive late, and it's very difficult to start working in that direction. And at the same time, we saw that the urban population was growing and growing. In 2015, we passed from a mostly rural world to a mainly or mostly urban world. And that was also a new context. I mean, humanitarian action had to also accommodate to the response in urban areas. And we created a group, a task force, and started working on that. And it was very, very interesting. But that's how the City Resilience Global Program of UN Habitat was born. And it was born thanks to the changes that happened, but also to the city of Barcelona that opened doors to the municipality for us to explore and make sure that we can analyze and diagnose resilience. And also thanks to the economic European Commission that also put some funds into us calibrating and developing this methodology that my program has produced. And we work very closely also with the UNDRR and making sure that UNDRR was involved into all the advocacy part of risk reduction and resilience building while we were implementing in some specific places. And the main concept that we developed during that time was that cities are a conglomerate of systems, urban systems, and you cannot respond to only one without impacting others. And that was very evident from the humanitarian response, where they created clusters, and which were basically sectors, but some clusters did not work well with the help or with the support or with the alliance or the coordination with other clusters. And cities are like that, right? You cannot change, for example, the mobility aspect without changing the impact in the economy sector as well. You cannot move or change the water supply without impacting other areas. And that's why we created that methodology that will diagnose the status of resilience in cities. And that has four main pillars. One pillar is what we call the ID, the city ID, which is very simple. It's like, I like the analogy between an urban system and a human body and people, right? So I always say that, and I always hammer my team with that, and I think they are tired already of trying to understand analogies, but that I think is a good example of how cities behave. So basically, an urban system is like a human body, right? You cannot fix one part without impacting another part, and that would be very naive to think. So the first pillar of our methodology is the city ID, which is like a passport for a person, or an ID card for a person. Gives you the basic information of the person. This city ID gives you the basic information of the city: population, potential hazards, the things that are basic for a city. What's the context in general. The second pillar gives you a mapping of stakeholders in the city, because we believe that all stakeholders in the city are important for building resilience. You cannot avoid to work with any sector, with any stakeholders in a city, because we are as resilient as the weakest link. So we have to all work towards that resiliency status. The third pillar is it's a mapping of hazards, shocks, stresses, vulnerabilities, and risk. Because at the end of the day, it's useless to work towards building resilience towards one hazard when you are not resilient towards another hazard, right? And this is something that we learned the hard way. I mean, imagine the amount of funds that Haiti will put on climate change, and in 3 seconds earthquake, they lost 350,000 houses, and 1 million people were displaced. Not to talk about 11 out of 13 ministries collapsing. So you cannot really just focus on one challenge when you have other challenges that could be also as impacting as this one. And the fourth pillar, which is for me the most important part, and the one that gave us much more challenge in producing, was the city systems approach, the systems of the city, right? The urban elements, as we call it. For example, analyzing water supply, water availability, analyzing waste management, analyzing electrical supply, analyzing telecommunications, communications in general, analyzing mobility in a city, I mean, you name it. All the systems contribute to the well development of the city and the well-being of the citizens. So we developed that chapter, with indicators and trying to gather enough data and information to provide informed decisions. And based on that, we produce a diagnostic for the city, and we have done that in Barcelona. As I said, the municipality of Barcelona opened doors to us, gave us force to seconded staff from the municipality. We worked together for 4 years producing this. And it was an excellent experience, and I can give you so many examples and anecdotes and very interesting findings. I mean, I can be hours talking here, but I will reduce because in addition I'm Latin American, so I can talk, but I will try to reduce my time. I have 20 minutes, I think. So that was the main concept. We developed this. We started in Barcelona, but then we started calibrating this methodology, and we did it all over the world. So we did it in East Africa, in Maputo, Mozambique, West Africa, in Dakar, Senegal. We did it in Asunción, Paraguay, landlocked country. We did it in the Caribbean, in Costa Rica, in San Jose. We did it in an island in the Asia Pacific, in Vanuatu. We did it in the coldest city in the world, in Siberia, in Yakutsk. We did it in the hottest city in the world, in Teresina, Brazil. So we tested all over the world. And based on that, we created this robust system for analyzing. And then it was interesting because cities came themselves and started asking us, can we do it in my city? How much it will cost to do this? How can we produce this and all that? So we provided that diagnostics, and based on that diagnostics, we provided recommendations for actions. So based on that, we say, okay, you should prioritize because when you discuss this with mayors in cities, they have needs that go beyond the needs of some developed countries, right? Climate change is one of the important aspects, but I've been many times talking with mayors that were telling me, my main problem is how to feed my population. They have, we don't have enough livelihoods. We don't have enough, many things, food, water. I don't know if I can supply water to my citizens when the growing population is so much. So those are real things in cities, right? And then to that you add all these shocks, like the impact of climate change, or an earthquake, or a COVID situation, or and then you have to prioritize, and you have to know what is your priority in order for having your city functioning. And that's what we try to do. And I was, in a way, happy to see that the methodology and the conceptual framework, because this is a concept, right? It's an approach in life. It's not a sector. It's a way of thinking. This building resilience. I'm proud to say that it responded quite well to the COVID situation, even when it was not, let's say, produced for that type of shock. But yes, it responded because we had a priority of areas that we have to take care of, and that was a very positive issue. And we had done an analysis of 16 cities and the socioeconomic response to COVID-19, and it was also a very interesting analysis. So this is how we have been working in the last, let's say, 15, 20 years or more. And I do believe that we have a lot to do still, because overall, if you start counting the cities that we have supported, international organizations supporting cities, it's quite low. I mean, if you consider that the world has 50,000 cities, can you imagine how many cities are not supported at this moment by methodologies, tools, and concepts like this one? Many, right? At some point, few years ago, 5 or 7, together with C40 and the RC100 when they existed, we did an analysis of how many cities we were impacting overall among the 10 or 12 largest organizations, World Bank included, C40, UCLG, I mean, all of them. And we didn't arrive to more than 200 cities. I think it's very low. I mean, 200 cities in a contingency of 45,000 is very low. And the population keeps growing, and the population keeps coming to cities, and the cities keep expanding, unfortunately, in a very unplanned manner. So it is quite an alarming feature, right? And if you, to that ingredient or to that picture, you add the climate change effect, it's going to be even worse, right? So either we try to upscale these operations or try to support them more and try to make sure that they are self-sufficient in their response to crisis, or we are going to be definitely doomed. I mean, there is a limit in the water that you can pour to a glass, right? And that's the world. I mean, we have a limited extent of territory, and we have a limited number of people that keeps growing and keeps sitting in the same cities. And this is also impacting tourism, impacting all other areas, right? You can see it. I mean, I'm sitting here in Barcelona, and you know that during the last 2 summers, the local population have been quite upset with the tourists. So it's quite strong, that one. And I do think that we have to start correcting that. And that's when it comes this part of technology and artificial intelligence. For us, it has been a challenge to collect and gather data from these cities. And I do think now that with this artificial intelligence and with these new technologies, we can accelerate that process, and we should work towards that direction. Because the more information that we have, the more prepared we are for responding to any crisis. But we are also building sustainable development in and removing risk out from cities. I'll leave it there. As I said, I can talk for many hours if you want, but I think that it gives you already the idea of what we are after. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Esteban. One message that particularly resonates with me is that resilience is not something we build during a crisis. It is something we invest in long before a crisis occurs. As cities continues to grow and the impact of climate change become more severe, urban resilience must become an integral part of how we plan, govern, and manage our urban environments. I also appreciate your perspective on the role of artificial intelligence and tools. AI is not about replacing human judgment, it is about strengthening it by helping us better understand complex risks, identify vulnerable communities, analyze larger volumes of data, and support more informed decision making. AI has the potential to become an important enabler for resilient and sustainable cities. So, rightly said. Thank you so much for your thoughts. Thank you.